Okay, this illustrates indentation. The very first line we see there is the bash line, or not the bash line, the shebang line, and I'll teach you about those later. But notice we have we tell the interpreter that the variable equals 1, and then we issue a while command. Basically says while the variable equals 1, do, and then the little squiggly there represents the indentation where you put the commands, what you want it to do. You start after the while with a do, and you end with a done. And this is an infinite loop right here, pretty much, and these are very useful in servers and other things. And what you can do with this is, if you want the program to repeatedly go through a series of commands, generally a list of if commands: if this, then do this; if this, then do this; if this, then do. And that way you can have it constantly check for certain conditions to be met, and then redirect accordingly. Like, you can make it, and I'll go show you. I'll get into functions later, but basically you would say if this is this, then run this function, and then it will. A function is basically just a group of commands and codes. It's like, if you want to do this, 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 and this at a certain time, you put it in a function, and then you call the function when it's time to do it. So the command on the right here, what this basically says, if this file exists, then do this. And I'll put a better flashcard up with that later and show you how to do that. I actually got one that shows you all the file system tacks, like that tac F is a file. There's different ones. There's one to see if it's a read-write permission, one to just check if the file exists, one to see if it's a file or a directory. And we'll get into those here in a minute. So let's move on to the next slide. By the way, this card here is bash. So, but it's really important to learn bash and Python together, I think, because one, they're very similar. A lot of the commands are the same, slightly different formats. Two, you can integrate the two, and it's just really important, actually, because you're going to need both of them, really. But you don't have to, obviously. So let's move on to the next slide.